morning. Welcome back to Astrology from a Libra's perspective. Today is Thursday, May 14th, 2020, and this is the daily horoscope reading for all my Aquarius out there for today. You might want to check your alarm clock to be sure it really woke you up this morning. Your tendency will be to stay in the cocoon of your own little dream world, deep in your own thoughts. Sheltering in place has turned many people inward, but obsessive thoughts may be drowning out some pressing issues from the past that really need to be dealt with once and for all. Ring, ring, it's time to wake up. So I'm noticing a trend today with a lot of potentially self-reflective daily horoscopes and keeping in line with that for today for Aquarius, based on what I take from your daily horoscope for today. It's kind of funny because it's kind of like there's a lot implied here that's not said, but if you're able to read between the lines of things, you can kind of pinpoint it. I don't take the check your alarm clock to make sure it woke you up, not in a literal sense, obviously, but because of this whole sheltering in place thing and lockdown and everybody being kind of stuck in place, and at times you may forget what day of the week it is. If you're not working right now because you're not an essential worker, you might even forget what day of the week it is. So kind of a time for you to check and create boundaries and make sure you realize what the difference between reality and the reality that exists outside of the real world and in your own head, so to speak. With everybody that's turning inward, everybody's not doing it on purpose. Some people are mentally reflecting purposefully or meditating on certain things and getting back to true self. And some people, just because there's nothing to do, they just get lost in their own thoughts with all the shit that's going on in their life and in the world. And that can become an obsession that you can feel like you're drowning and unable to get back out and deal with those pressing issues. But if there are things from the past that you know you need to deal with, I think that now is the best time to do it. I've said this on my other platforms and previous vlogs and videos and things, but the world moves so fast. There's barely any time to pull away from the errands and the workloads and the kids and the different things that we are responsible for and obligated to do on a daily basis. And with the whole world at one time, and really for the first time in about 100 years, with the world slowing down the way it is, it's kind of forcing everybody to be in one place. It's long enough for you to really sit back and figure out where your unresolved issues are, because we all have past baggage. We all have different issues internally that could span from different things or be caused for different reasons. And while nobody is ever really directly to blame for unresolved issues that we have, and I want to reiterate that for clarity, people might have done things in your past to you. Some of those things could have been drastically life-changing. Some of those things could have been physically abusive, mentally abusive, emotionally abusive, can span the whole gamut, the whole spectrum. But as far as how you and when you resolve those things, nobody's ever really to blame for that. We, the individual, we are responsible. I'm responsible for resolving whatever unresolved issues I have stemming from things that people or a person may have done to me in my past. I'm still responsible for resolving that, whatever that resolution looks like. So you are responsible. Nobody else is responsible for you resolving whatever in your past is leaving you feeling like you didn't get the closure you needed. You need closure. Maybe you just need to make peace with certain things. I remember I did a podcast a while ago, maybe at least 2.5 years ago, but it is on my other platform, the Social Forecast. Basically, I think it was titled something to the effect of learning to accept the apology you never got or that never came, something to that effect. But go check that out and go listen to it. It gets very in-depth about, there's some specific stories in there, but generally it gets very in-depth about sometimes we can't resolve things because a person or the people who committed certain transgressions against us either are no longer physically here living in the world to apologize for those things, or they are here and living in the world, but we will just never get that apology. That person may never acknowledge, or you just might not be in their life anymore for them to acknowledge and take responsibility and accountability for what they did or whatever pain or hurt they caused you. And so I go back to, we're responsible for, especially in those situations, finding a way to make peace with and resolving those things within ourselves. Because you can either continue to let the issues from your past hold you back, drown out the good noise that exists in the world, and allow you to be free to live your best life again, or you can break the cycle. It's like you either perpetuate the cycle or you find a way to break it. And it's unfortunate that it is the responsibility of you, the person, even though you might have been the victim in that situation. But what's unfortunate is we can have things happen to us through no fault of our own and be fully deserving of somebody, particularly the person who created that issue for us. We could be fully deserving of that person needing to resolve that for us. But in 9.5 times out of 10, that's almost never going to happen. So it's unfortunate, but we do have to figure out a way to resolve within ourselves those things that otherwise are never going to be resolved. And it's not for that person. And don't mistake, and if anybody is here from my other platform and you've seen the vlogs that I've done talking about forgiveness and different things like that, that's not what this is. And that's not what I'm saying. Resolving something for yourself from your past, finding a resolution or making yourself at peace with something that someone or a few people have done to you throughout your life, that's not the same as forgiveness. That's just you coming to a place within yourself to say, listen, I have to do something with this. This issue is causing a negative impact on my life. It's affecting the way I live my life, the way I see people, the way I trust people, the way I love people, the way I may want to do those things. And I need to figure out something to do with this. And so you figure out a way that you can live through and around and rise above that. You don't have to forgive that person. And to be honest with you, I'm not necessarily the person who feels like, oh, when you forgive someone, it's for the other person, it's not for you. No, I think that's a cop-out. Not to get off on another tangent, I think that's a cop-out. And I think when you forgive someone, it is definitely an excuse and a way out for them. But sticking back to resolution, when you resolve something for and within yourself, that's when it's for you and not the other person. Forgiveness is always for another person. If someone's asking you to forgive them for something they did to you, they're asking you to do them a favor. It's so they can feel better. Forgiveness is always for the person. I think where people confuse things when they say forgiveness is for you because it's healthy and allows you to move on with your life, that's not forgiveness. That's resolution. That's the resolve that I'm talking about. It's when you make that peace with yourself, you make that resolution with yourself to say, hey, whatever was done, maybe it wasn't okay, maybe it was, maybe something I did triggered it, maybe it was an overreaction to something I did or said, but I resolve to whatever blank, fill that blank in order for me to be okay. That's what is for you. Forgiveness is for the other person. Resolution from that situation is for you. Remember, I said that. Anyway, for all of my Aquarius out there, I wish you all luck in your journey. I wish you all love, peace, wealth, and overall health. This is Astrology from a Libra's perspective, brought to you by the Social Forecast. And I will see all of my Aquarius back here tomorrow for another daily horoscope reading. Peace and love.